This is Good&Game, a collection of conversations with people living with intention and armed with the courage to make a positive impact in our world. These are heart-centered people from right here in America's heartland. My name is Michael Admire. I'm your host. We have conversation 3.3 coming up with Spencer Johnson here in just a second. It's a great one. But if this is your first time tapping in, we appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel, our Instagram page. It's Good&Game. Also, you can check us out on Spotify. So many ways to check us out. Make sure you are tapping in. All right, so this conversation with Spencer Johnson is kind of a full circle type moment. I first met Spencer going back 2017, 2018 time. I came out to Emerge Academy. This is where I'm at right now, and talked to him, interviewed him for a story I was doing on McKenna Hassey, who has a great story in her own right. If you don't know about her, check it out. It was fun to come back out here and catch up with Spencer Johnson, who trained McKenna Hassey back then and kind of has made his name in the ninja world by making it onto the show, the biggest show in this industry, America Ninja Warrior. And he's been on it a couple different times. He's made runs towards championships, and he's still at it. In his late 30s, he made it all the way into the final bracket, made it to Las Vegas in season 17. And starting today, season 18, his journey begins on American Ninja Warrior season 18. And I know he already has his eyes.
Oh, nice.
Next year.
Well, where's your head go?
The reason that we have this conversation here today is because Spencer kept showing up. And I was like, this guy keeps popping up in different spaces. I need to see how he's doing. It's been a while since we've talked. So at one point he showed up at our church on the worship team singing. I was like, I did not know Spencer had those skills. And then, later that summer, last summer, we're watching American Ninja Warrior, and he's still going through the obstacles, still in great shape, still super fit. And now he's sharing a story. He's sharing a story about his family and what they've overcome and how they've turned some of the obstacles in their life into opportunities for other people. And that's what this conversation with Spencer Johnson is all about. All right, Spencer Johnson, this feels familiar. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks
crazy.
for having me back.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure. I'm honored.
For those that don't know, it's been about a decade since I was last in this gym doing a story with you and sprint car legend McKenna Hassey.
Yes, sir. And
we were in here. She used to work out here to kind of supplement some of the stuff that she was doing with sprint car racing. And I love what you've done with the place.
Thank you.
To say
Thank
the
you
least.
so much, man. I really appreciate that.
I told you the story, kind of setting this whole thing up, that my wife and I, about a year and a half ago, we were sitting in church, and there was this, speaking of familiar, there's this familiar face on stage singing during worship. And I look over at her, I'm like, Anna, I think that's Spencer Johnson. I think that's the guy that does the American Ninja Warrior stuff. And she's like, I don't know if that's him. And we pulled up on Instagram. She's like, no, that's not him. And then all of a sudden, you pop back up on American Ninja Warrior. And we were both like, okay, that's him. I just... Seeing somebody out of place was interesting. How did you get into worship music and all that?
That's a great question. So, I grew up. My dad's always been a worship leader ever since I was little. Yeah. So I grew up. He'd bring me to church early morning. He'd say, "Hey, let's go get some donuts." That was how he'd get me on board. Yeah. I'd get a donut in the morning, and so I'd sit there while they practiced and stuff, and then church came about, but. I really didn't know if it was for me until after I retired my career as a gymnast. I had a 17-year career in gymnastics, and when that door started to close, I started to sing, and first just in the shower and in the car, and then I did some karaoke. here and there, and I won a couple karaoke competitions, just nothing exciting, just these really low, small karaoke competitions. And anyways, I was like, man, I really like this, but doing it, at a bar wasn't really very fulfilling. And so I felt really led to just, to try out for worship team, and I did, and the rest is history. I've been doing it for several years now.
Oh, it was so surreal seeing you up there, but not surprising, because you've already lived like several different chapters, several different lives, it feels like.
Yeah.
And as we kind of jump into a little bit of your story, I mean, that's been impressive to see the evolution, even in the last 10 years. But, your story essentially goes, you're a young man that gets into gymnastics, and that leads to you going down the Olympic path. Uh-huh. You end up getting right on the cusp of being on the Olympic team. You retire. It's into coaching. It's into American Ninja Warrior, which is maybe what you're most known for now. And then there's some other things in between. But one thing that stands out is that maybe a through line through it all is that you are always overcoming obstacles, whether you put them in your way or life throws them in your way. How have some of the obstacles in your life shaped who you are, like where you're at sitting right now?
Man, it's no surprise why, God gifted me with ADHD, and I did say gifted. A lot of my teachers probably wouldn't say that, but, I think I just have always been pretty resilient, and from the beginning, I mean, I got really sick when I was about 7. I had spinal meningitis, went into my brain, and had, they thought I probably wasn't going to make it, so I had a bunch of people I'd never seen before coming in to visit me, and that's when you know it's bad, when people that you've never met before are coming to, give you gifts or whatever. But obviously I pulled through that, and had to do speech therapy and vision therapy for like a year, and then and was in a wheelchair. So, I had the whole gamut. I'll never forget leaving the hospital, not being able to form the words, to be able to speak. You're trying to speak, and it's like not coming out. It's the wildest thing, because in your mind exactly what you want to say, but it wasn't there. So that went on for a while. Going into school, I struggled with school a lot. They found out later, basically, from spinal meningitis, when stuff like that goes into your brain, it affects it in just crazy ways. They can't really monitor what exactly happens. But from that, they think that I developed dyslexia, and so because I had a really hard time reading. Anything with reading, I was behind on. I just could not retain those words. And so I struggled with that. Math, I was always pretty good with. I always excelled in, but as far as reading and writing, it was just extremely hard all the way through school. So, you battle stuff like, am I dumb? You know what I mean? Am I like, and you get older, you're like, who cares? Yeah, I'm dumb, and you laugh at it. Yeah, I'm just an idiot. You kind of laugh at it, but you're a product of your environment. Sometimes you create your own environment, right? And I had kind of created that for myself. And you throw in, my dad going to prison when we were younger. Mm-hmm. He had, we were really poor, and he, basically got caught up in a Ponzi scheme, and ended up turning himself in, and went to a men's correctional facility for was supposed to be 2 years, ended up being 6 months. And and that was hard, learning to recapture a relationship with a father that did something to your family that you think would never ever happen. You see that in movies, and that's the bad guy. But in the movies, your dad's always the hero, right? So there was I had kind of a trifecta of things that I was struggling with all the time that were unrelated, but also kind of related. And obstacles have always been prevalent, I feel like, in my life from the beginning until now. And I think I've just learned that first of all, God's made me resilient, and that if you have the faith to step forward and believe that there's something better for you ahead, then you really have nothing to fear. And I think that's kind of what's carried me through these last several decades.
The illness as a child, your father being incarcerated, these are all things that could steer somebody away from pursuing sports or pursuing the greatness that you have.
Yeah.
So how did you end up in gymnastics? Let's just go there. How did you end up in gymnastics?
So, I mean, I was like I said, really hyperactive. I was flipping all the time, and just wild. I mean, I'm by far the craziest in my family. You know what I mean? We got some weirdos in our family. Okay, love them to death, but we're all a little bit cuckoo. But I'm by far the top. And so my mom was like, "Man, he's gonna kill himself or somebody else. We gotta do something with him." And I'm not super tall. I'm 5'7", but when I was younger, the doctor's like, he'll be lucky to be 5'3". So she's like, well, basketball's out. Football, one hit, he's gone. You know what I mean? Baseball was too slow. So then they put me in gymnastics, and it was kind of the first thing in my life where I felt like praised for. Like I was doing it, and they were like, wow, like, yeah, you're pretty good. Like you could be good at this. And that was like the only thing, really. I mean, there was little things, obviously I had great parents, but, I was in trouble a lot. Self-inflicted. But then gymnastics came along, and it was like, man, this could be something great. And I felt it. So it just, it really started taking off from there.
And it's not like gymnastics is not a mainstream sport. So we're obviously familiar with the discipline and the work and everything that goes into chasing the Olympic dream here in Des Moines with Child's Gymnastics just down the road, and all the athletes that have come through there over the years. So for you, how did you dive into that Olympic path? Where you're moving all over the country just to continue to do this thing.
Great question. So it really started. I really have one person to thank, and his name is Daniel. Daniel was on this recreational boys gymnastics class, the first one that I ever attended. I came in, and Daniel was the student that the coach used to demonstrate everything. And I was like, man, Daniel's good. And I just kept showing up thinking, like, I got to beat Daniel today. He is so good. And I just remember Daniel, and he had these frumpy socks on, and was just kind of a goofball. But he was the one that the teacher chose every time. So slowly, the teacher started picking me instead of Daniel. And then as time went on, I became the new Daniel. And I don't know if this kid will ever remember that, or I should say guy, he's my age. I don't know if he'll ever remember that, or if he remembered even that transition, but beating Daniel, or becoming Daniel, was the start of everything for me. Because then after that, it was like, well, man, I want to compete against other people. And I started doing that. I want to win a meet. Then I won. And then it was like, oh, I want to be the best in the state of Iowa. And then I was. And then it was like, oh, I want to win regional championships. And then I did it. And then it was like, I want to be best in the nation. And then I did it. And so then I moved into the elite world. I was like, I have to be at the Olympic Training Center. But when I was about 14, the gym, Chow's was not open. We had one gym in really the area that had competitive gymnastics for boys, and they dropped their boys program. So it was like I either quit, move on, which I would say 95% of people would probably do, and it would have been fine. I probably would have found something else, but this was my thing. I had found something that I was truly great at, and people noticed when I did that. Usually people notice me when I'm around, but it's usually because I'm too loud or too crazy or doing something that's a little insane. But people noticed me for doing something great and of value, and I felt that. So I hopped around ended up going to 4 different schools, lived in 4 different states, and had 5 different host families. And but by the end, I was accepted at the U.S. Olympic Training Center, and was now in a top elite group that represented the country, essentially. So I mean, it was like I felt like everything had led to that moment in time, and it was just an unbelievable experience.
So from 14 years old until how old were you when you got accepted into the
19.
Okay. So that's a 5-year process being away from home. Did you have to, what was like the convincing, letting your parents like, hey, can I go do this?
It was pretty crazy actually. We prayed about it. We wanted it to be the right decision. Felt like it was just God led there, but it was hard. I mean, at first it feels kind of like summer camp. You're living with other people, but then you realize that their rules, their house rules, is not what you've grown up with, and it's very different, and they're not going to hold you accountable like your parents are, and so it was hard. It was really, really hard. There was actually after the first year, I was ready to be done, and my mom was like, "Hey, listen, let's finish the season. And if you want to come home, obviously, I want you to come home. Like, I'd love you to be home. We want you here, but finish the season out. Let's see how it goes, and then we'll make a decision." And I'm so glad that I did, because it ended up being a great season. And my last year, before I made the training center, actually Chow's started a boys program, and he took me in there, and I started training there, and that's where I finished right before. I went there, got accepted at a camp in Tennessee, helped them build that with these 2 Olympian, ex-Olympian gymnasts. We're like, hey, help us build this, put this together. We're running this camp, and we'll help train you for that summer. And so they did that. I'll be forever grateful for those 2 men, still just heroes of mine. And that led to the Olympic Training Center. So, yeah, I mean, it was one obstacle after another, I feel like. So it was hard, but it's been so rewarding.
And so 19, you get into this program. What was the push towards the Olympics? Like, what was kind of the timing there? And maybe take us into the decision that it's time to hang it up.
Absolutely. So it was like 2007-ish, I went, end of 2006, 2007, I got to the training center, and it's like, I mean, you walk in, it's like Olympic rings everywhere, and it's like, it's just, this is the cream of the crop. These are some of the best athletes in the entire world. So you're just kind of like, it's not like you walk in and you're like, oh yeah, I'm one of these guys. You walk in and you're like, wow. In fact, I had just finished my first practice that went horribly. And I'll circle back to that in a second, but I'm just kind of in a haze, and I look down in the middle. There's this middle walkway outside the training center, and I see somebody kind of gliding towards me, and it's like twilight, so the sun's down, it's still light, but so your eyes are adjusting, and he's just like gliding towards me, and I'm like, what is happening? I mean, like altitude sickness? What's going on here? And it's this guy gets closer. He's on rollerblades. And it was Apollo Antonono, just went and glided past me. And I know, I was just like, because he kind of smiled. He goes, "What's up, man?" And I said nothing. I froze and said nothing. And I never saw him again. I was like, oh, man, this guy's a legend. But super, super cool. But that first practice, I came in, and we had a pre-strength list before our workout, before the actual strength and conditioning at the end. Well, that pre-strength list, I threw up twice. And the coach was like,
nice.
He was like, hey, I think that's enough for today. You go home. And I'm like, oh, great. I was just cut on my first practice. So I'd come back thinking he's going to be like, pack your locker, you're too weak. And that's my Russian accent, by the way. That's the best I got. Yeah. So, but anyways, I come in, and I'm still, he still has me there. And so it just, I was the youngest by like 4 or 5 years in that group, and then I was also the worst by far. So I just decided right then and there that I will do everything in my power to be the best that I can possibly be. And so I start being the first one to arrive, last one to leave. In fact, I had a teammate that started bringing me lunch because they'd leave, go to lunch, and I'd stay there for another couple of hours to keep getting. He's like, yeah, you gotta eat. So he'd bring me food, and slowly they started to. At first, I was just that kind of annoying little brother, and I was annoying. Don't get me wrong, I definitely was annoying. But then they saw how much I wanted it, and it started to turn into respect. You know what I mean? So then that went on, and every big meet, I ended up qualifying at, like, I'm not kidding you, like last place. I'd qualify to this big competition, last place, right? And then you'd have to qualify to finals from that, and I would qualify again, last place. I kept moving up and kept getting in that people couldn't help but notice. They were like, how is this kid doing it? Like, he's by far the worst one, but he keeps rising up. And it was just, people started to pull behind me, that people I didn't know, relatives, people started saying like, hey, you're giving me so much hope, like, this is exciting. And it was like, I started feeling like I was going to save all these people by just doing gymnastics. And so I kept rising up, and it got so close. 2012 was like the big run, you know what I mean? And I could see it. I could smell the environment of the opening ceremonies at the Olympic Games. I could smell it, right? I've never smelled it before. That's how real it was for me. I was like, I could see the crowd chanting, USA. USAs were walking down, waving that American flag. So it was so real to me. And with how quickly I was propelling forward, I thought, there's no way I don't make this. So I went in thinking, I am absolutely going to get there. And as I'm getting closer, people are rallying. I mean, it's like, it was unbelievable. I'm starting to sign autographs at competitions now, and very much the Rudy of this elite group of guys. And then I get up to this peak, and it's like, man, I'm looking around thinking, look at all these people down there. Look at everything around me. And then it starts to plateau. And I'm not recovering quite as fast. And I'm like, man, I'm not there yet, though. I need more. I need more push. I didn't get to the point where I could plateau and then make it. I needed to keep rising. And then it slowly tilted the opposite way. And then it was taking me longer to recover. And, I'm in my, early to mid 20s. I was about, I think, 25 at this point. And these younger guys are recovering twice as fast. And they're gaining ground, and I'm literally losing ground. And so it became very evident to me that it was going to be over. And it was terrifying. I was absolutely mortified of where it was going, because who am I? I chose to go to the U.S. Olympic Training Center instead of college, and I could have gotten a scholarship to go on a college team. And I gave it up because I was like, these colors don't run, man. I don't want anything else. This is all I want to do. Red, white, and blue. I'm going to represent the United States against the rest of the world, and I'm going to earn it, So as it started to get further away, I started to really feel lost in who I was. I was struggling with identity. I was so embarrassed. I was like, people are going to be like, oh, I guess he can't do it. I probably can't either now. You know what I mean? That's how I was thinking. I thought I put my identity, all of who I am, in gymnastics. And then when that started to get taken away, I felt like I was nobody. So I remember my wife and I, we moved back. I had gotten married. She was part of it too. Gymnastics led me to her. My mom and her have the same birthday. My mom actually coached her for a little bit. So it's just wild. So gymnastics really had given everything to my life and given it value that I was just a crazy, hyperactive boy before that got in trouble all the time. Then you add in my struggles with school. It's like, that's who I am. You take gymnastics out of it. But gymnastics led me to my bride. It led me to, this Olympic dream and to respect and to be honored. And so we moved back home, and, we wanted to have kids. And so I start working for a gym, actually the same gym that closed their boys program. We're looking for an exit strategy. They didn't want to own it forever, and so they said, we're going to give you, first rights to buy when that time comes. But you got to start coaching girls. And I said, listen, I'll do that, but my passion is boys gymnastics. I want to put a program online for you guys because it started with you guys there, and I'm so thankful. But I don't want any boy to go through what I had to go through to chase that Olympic dream. And so then I coached girls for a while, and I was just depressed. And I felt like, you go from being in the spotlight to being behind the scenes, and it just felt like I'm just useless. So I really started like drinking heavily. I got, basically I've told this story so many times now, and at different events and whatnot. But I always say there's only one place that I wouldn't show up drunk to, and that was church. You know what I mean? I just felt like I couldn't. That was the one and only place. I mean, like, who was I kidding? I was a mess at the time. So I'm doing that, and I remember I get pulled over, and I'm so like I'm to the point where I'm pretty numb to not just from the alcohol, but from just who I was. I was just so numb to everything because I was like, this is it for me. This sucks. This is my life now. I gave up everything, and this is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. So I get pulled over, and he's like, hey, can you, I was downtown. He's like, your headlights aren't on. Of course, he's going to pull me over. It's middle of the night. And so he's like, hey, can you stand on one foot and reverse back from 20? And I'm like, this I for sure should not be able to do. But I kid you not, it's like God himself put his hands on me, and I just stand there, and I'm like, 20, 19, 18, 17, and all the way through. And he's like, all right, you know what? Just please get home. Be safe. You got a clean record. So, make better choices. So I'm like, whatever. So I leave, get pulled over 2 more times, not that night, within a matter of several months. And the last time I even tell the officer, like, yeah, I've been drinking a lot. I thought at that point where if he took me in, I'd spend a couple nights in jail, and I would have to sober up, and I'd realize that I can do it because I was so stuck at that time. I was so stuck, and I didn't know how to get out. I didn't know how to get out of it. I just was so lost. I didn't know how to get out of it. And then the guy's like, hey, you know what? I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to let you go. And I'm like, what? What the heck? And he's like, but get home. Just please get home. And he's like, and you gotta change your life. And I was just like I remember him saying it and thinking in my mind, like, whoa, I'm like, did he just like look inside me? It's like, he's like, you gotta change your life. And I'll never forget it. I don't know what context he meant by that, but it resonated with me. And I freaked out. And I remember that night I ended up passing out in the shower, and my wife comes in, fortunately, gets me out of there, and I was like, wow. It was just like an epiphany for me. I was and I had been so diligent and made so many good, responsible choices far above my age for my whole life, that it was like so this was such a new territory for me, and such an unhealthy one, obviously. But I remember thinking, man, when I saw her face of me in there and her pulling me out, I was like, man, I got to make some changes. I got to make some major changes. I thought I was just affecting my life, but this affects everybody's. So then I get some accountability guys in my life. I confessed to my dad. That was an easy one because he confessed to me so many years back. And I was like, well, if anybody's going to understand, it's going to be him. But I was embarrassed, and I felt worthless. But then it was like, and then I prayed for like the first time in probably a year or longer. And I was like, I don't know what you want with my life, but I feel like I've done all this for you, and you keep taking things away. What do you want with me? Like, what do you want with me? And then it was the very next day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a boys program. So I went to the owners and said, hey, listen, I have it in writing right here. You said that I could start a boys program, and here we are. you're right. All right, let's do it. But it's going to take you a long time. I kid you not, man. It was like I started a class and it filled. And then I'd open another class, it filled. I became, in a matter of a year, I was the biggest boys program in the state of Iowa. I mean, just like that. It was like everything I touched turned to gold in the gymnastics community. Started a boys team, and it just took off. It just started thriving. They were like, oh, it's going to be a while before you make it to nationals. And it was months after that. We're going to nationals for the first time. Then I'm Iowa Coach of the Year. And, I mean, things just started taking off, and I found out it was like, man, I wasn't actually made for the spotlight. That was just a small gift. What I'm made for is to be behind the scenes, and I loved it. And I absolutely loved it. So it's just been a heck of a ride to get to that point, for sure.
Oh, that's incredible. And, it's interesting, the identity crisis that, just being in sports, and you see it over and over again. The athlete retires from their sport, and it's self-sabotage.
Yeah.
It's spiraling, trying to figure out who they truly are.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was coaching that kind of helped you form your identity, shape your identity into who you truly are and who you wanted to be.
Yeah.
That mixed with your faith.
Yep.
And then also here comes American Ninja Warrior right around that time, right? It was 2012 is kind of when your career ends.
Yep.
2013 is the first time that you submit a tryout tape, right?
Yep.
So
Exactly right.
I don't know. We may be hopscotching over some details,
Sure.
but I am interested. Just like how do you go from? How did American Ninja Warrior enter your life at the right time?
So it's so crazy because I was like, like I said, I was really stuck in that who am I type deal. Mm-hmm. And then I started to make some changes in my life, had some accountability, obviously drinking had to go. And I kind of had this like 2-year hiatus where I was just really trying to be held accountable and to make good decisions. And so early on in that, this guy, his name's Jay Weems, great guy. He's a parent of one of the girls I had been coaching, comes in and he's like, hey, man, listen, can you teach me a backflip? And he's like probably mid-40s at the time. I'm like, man, I think that ship has sailed, man. I don't know what to tell you. And he's like, no. Listen, I do this show, American Ninja Warrior. I've been on it. And for my audition tape, I want to do a standing backflip. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that sounds like a weird thing. I don't know what that is, but I'll help you. So I start teaching him a backflip, and we start going through it. He meets with me every, like once a week for several weeks. And lo and behold, he gets a backflip. And I'm like, wow, great job, man. He's like, hey, you should really try out for this. You would be great at it. And I'm like, I don't know. It's your thing. I don't even know anything about it. He's like, just put a video together. Here's the website. I'll help you out. Just you got to try this. And I'm like, all right. And I send one in. And then they're like, hey, we want you. They call me back. I think like a month after I sent it in. Hey, we'd love for you to be in the show. It's in Denver. And that's where we're doing our first video, our first shooting. And I'm like, awesome. So that's exciting. So I'm ecstatic. Like, I'm freaking out. And I called my buddy Jay. I'm like, Jay, hey, man, I got the call. I was like, did you get the call? We got to go, man. He's like, I didn't get the call. And I'm like, oh, no. He's like, but don't worry. I've been on it. I'm excited for you. And he's like, hey, tell you what, the one thing you need to do is the warp wall, though, because it gets everybody. I've got one in my backyard. I built one. Come try it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do that. We leave tomorrow. We fly out tomorrow, so I'll just come and try that. And he's like, okay, cool. So it's Mother's Day. My mom's like, yeah, let's go. I think it's going to be fun. Let's go do it. I'm training on it. I'm not getting it. And the classic, just one more. Do it. Tear my Achilles. Tear my Achilles on the last run up. I have to call him and say, hey, I'm not going to make it. Not going to make it. And And it was a year of, a full year of rehab and, countless therapy, PT and stuff, just to get back to semi-normal. So that happens, and I go on, and I've started to love ninja stuff. So I've gotten into that. I'd sent in a couple videos after that with no avail. They weren't thrilled about what they were seeing, I guess. And then now, having coached and started this boys team probably about 5 years in, things were going really, really well. And I talked to the owners and I said, hey, it's time. We've talked about a rough timeline about when I can start stepping into this, into ownership. And, I feel like I've really grown the business on this side of things, and I'd helped manage the gym. And I said, I'd like to just start walking down that road. So we did. We started going down that road, and then some guy, another fellow gym owner who was very successful in another state, found out that they were selling, and basically comes in and says, hey, I want to buy it, and obviously for that to happen, I either need to quit or be fired, because that's the only way to eliminate that contract. And my wife and I were both working there. We had a small child at the time. Actually, I'm sorry, we had an infant and a 2-year-old. And so they said, well, unfortunately, then we're going to have to let you go. And so, and at the time, I wasn't receiving that well internally. I had kind of caught wind of it. The gymnastics community is not that big, so I had caught wind that this was going to happen. And so I was prepared, and I wanted to make sure I handled it respectfully, because that was this new chapter of my life, right? And which I did, but internally I was very bitter and angry about it. In hindsight, it's like, kind of makes sense. You have these people that are very successful and are going to buy it, and that's something that you've grown and put your blood, sweat, and tears in. You want to see it thrive. Me, who had no experience at all. But it didn't change the fact that here we were without jobs, both of us, and 2 small kids and a mortgage to pay. And so it was hard, and it was kind of wild that the same gym that dropped their boys program all those years ago ends up letting us both go, my wife and I go. And mind you, that gym is also where I met my wife as a child, and then we didn't reconnect until years down the road. But so it was just it was very kind of a surreal moment. But I felt heavy on my heart that God was saying, "Hey, man, you are gonna run a gym. You know that, right?" Like he said, this vision I've given you is not fake. This is going to happen. So I start going to town, trying to figure out all this, how to run a gym. And I start calling people, calling gym owners. How are you doing this? What works? What's the magic method? You know what I mean? I'm taking notes, and I'm putting together this business plan. Well, during that time, I send in a video with my cousin to be on the show. And what do you know? I get called back. They're like, hey, we want you to be on the show. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So it just felt like a lifeline. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, I got you, man. Hey, listen, you keep going. It's going to be good for you. It's going to be really good, but you got to keep walking forward. So then I do it, and I just have this run very much the same as my whole gymnastics career. My day one of Ninja Warrior, this was in Kansas City. I'm in the city qualifiers. There's 77,000 applicants that year, right? And then there's 500 that go all together. So of the night of that first flight, there was 115 that went. They take the top 40 to go to the semifinals, the city finals. So then I go, and they hold you in this winning circle. I was 5th, mind you. They hold you in this winning circle, and they let you go if you if you get eliminated, they let you go and then you find your way home. You know, whether you're driving, flying, whatever, that's on you. So I get down to the last runner, and I knew I was on the cuff. Right, this guy is a walk-on. He waited all night to get in, and he got in, and he does a full course clear. Right, he crushes it. Last guy, this has to be 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and we got there at 5 p.m. So it's been 11 hours, right? And we get there, and I'm getting myself, I'm like, oh man, but what an experience! This is great. And then they call another guy's name. I thought I was 40th. Turns out I was 39th. The guy 40th bumped to 41st. I bumped to 40th. Top 40 made it to the next night. So here I go again, last guy to get in, and I bump into the next round. So this one I'm like, heck, I got nothing to lose, man. I'm already here. So I just go out like guns blazing. And I have this fantastic run, right? Puts me in. Now they cut it in half again. Top 20 go. And I'm like I'm 11th. And I go to the national finals, right? Just unbelievable. Yeah. And then I go on to the national finals and have this, do this. I'm very first competitor to run. And it's on this huge desert lot away from the strip. So it's all generators. And I'll never forget, I'm up there ready to go. And they're about to count me down. And all the lights go out because the generators went down. All the lights go out for about 30, 40 minutes. I'm sitting there crapping my pants like, man, this is like, because it is so nerve-wracking. You got cameras all over you. You got giant crowds all around you. Turns back on, and I end up going, I get all the way to the very final cargo net. I just got to get up and touch the buzzer, and I time out. The time goes out, and I was I had to be probably 10 feet away from hitting the buzzer and moving on. But it was just, and that, if you don't hit the buzzer for the finals there, you're out. So, but it was such an unbelievable experience that I was like, and then it was just the win I needed. And then I had, obviously with that came publicity, and it's right. The gym is just about to open when it starts to air. And so I'm getting publicity for that, doing the ninja stuff. And we open our doors and it's like people start pouring in. And it was like the timing of it all was like just crazy. You just couldn't make it up, man. It's just wild.
I remember. So what year was that? 2016, 2017?
That was 18.
It was 18. Okay, yeah.
2017. I'm sorry, 2017.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of. I think 2018 is when we did the interview.
Yep.
with McKenna.
Yes.
So yeah, I remember at that time, man, Ninja Warrior and gyms. These were kind of popping up all over the place.
Yep.
But it was super popular. And even like normal gyms were adding in like foam pits and walls just to like get a part of the trend.
Yeah.
But you had been doing this thing.
Oh yeah.
For a long time.
Long time.
And it was just, that was your moment.
Yeah.
The timing, that was your timing as well.
It was, yeah. And it was awesome. And it was like, it was such a cool, I think it was so relatable for me that I didn't even have to sell it. That's why when like McKenna came in and many other adults, it was like, listen, guys, we're going to overcome obstacles here. And I've been doing this my whole life, but now we're going to do it and it's fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like now we're going to celebrate it. So we just started celebrating all the small obstacles every day. And it turns out I was just well equipped for that exact thing, you know, which I had no idea that's what I was being built for, but it's just wild, man.
No, so that's all the way back in 2018. You make this run. Now you've got this incredible gym, this incredible setup here, and you're going for it again.
Yep.
You're going for it again.
Yep. Since then I've been on Since then I've been on 2 more seasons, okay. The last season I was on, I made it to the Vegas finals again, and so I have like a streak of. I keep, and there's guys that have been doing it, that have done it like 6, 7, 8 years in a row that have not ever made it to the Vegas finals. And I mean, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but it's like kind of a surreal thing that I keep thinking, well, this is probably the year I'm not going to get there. I'll slip up on something silly, but keep having these great runs that I'm just so thankful for. But so in this next season that just started airing, you'll have to wait and see. So I could fall in the first obstacle this time. You know what I mean? You just never know.
I'm going to go back to last summer watching you because, I mean, we were locked into every single run that you had. It was a ton of fun to watch. And, I mean, you're a couple of years older than me. And, man, I just find it so inspiring what you are doing at your age. And, shoot, you know, we were just talking in this conversation. You're like, yeah, I was 25 and my body wasn't recovering the same way. And I'm getting passed by all these younger people. Well, now – they're all still the same age. You know, you're still competing against 17, 18, 19-year-olds, but you're now in your late 30s. So what was it about, you know, wanting to get back in this? You have this successful gym. Why'd you want to keep pushing it?
You know, I mean, it's part of it is, you know, you always think about your parents as a kid, and it's like things you look up to. I mean, my dad has always been an athlete. He's loved playing basketball and sports and all that stuff, and we loved that. I mean, we loved playing basketball with him. We loved doing it. Seeing him do stuff was so cool. Seeing him work so hard to bring our family back was awesome. I mean, seeing the way my mom fought to keep our family together, you know, just are just qualities that I think shaped me and my siblings. And so part of it is like, you know, I want my kids to be like, man, yeah, I want to be like my dad. I want to do what my dad does. And I want them to see that it's like, if you work hard, I mean, there's never, I mean, so many people out through the years are like, oh, well, enjoy it while it lasts. You know, like, wait till you're in your 40s, like, all that's gone. And they're just like, you know, getting chubby, eating whatever, you know, just making money. And I'm like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that to be true. I want to be able to, I'm going to go out and I'm going to set new goals. I'm going to chase new dreams. And if I don't get there, which I already experienced that on an extremely high level, that what it feels like to not make it and how to not handle it, now that I have the tools to handle that well, it's like, why wouldn't you chase things even if they seem unattainable? I mean, I always tell people there's no great story without great struggle. You know what I mean? That it's the journey that it takes to get there. That's what the real story's about. So it's like, I want my kids to see that, and how cool is it when your kids in the lunchroom be like, my dad's on American Ninja Warrior. Was your dad?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My dad is a ninja.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be the coolest dad at, like, not only in the lunch line, but on those, like, share your dad's or, you know, parents' profession.
Yeah.
You know, who cares about the firefighter or the cop? My dad's a ninja. Yeah. That is a trump card indeed. And another thing that I think is really inspirational about what you're doing right now is, you know, not only are you competing, you know, late into your 30s, but you're also competing for a reason. You know, just seeing the story last year where you're sharing your story, your dad is sharing his story on a national platform.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I know your dad has shared his story throughout the community quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
But now, you know, you're doing it at another level. What has it been like sharing such a personal story with so many people? Yeah, what has that been like? I
mean, it's pretty wild experience because, so, you know, my dad going to prison and us coming out of it, it kind of opened the door for a vision he wanted to do, or he wanted to have for many, many years, that led to that Change Course program, you know, which is a second chance program. It teaches people how to get back on their feet, gives them an education, and, you know, as long as they stay clean and they show a work ethic, then we can help them to get into the job field, you know what I mean? So that they can start a life that they would not have an opportunity to do without it. You know, a lot of them would revert back to prison because it's a safer place. They have a roof over their head. They're not going to sleep outside. They don't have to worry about getting, you know, hurt outside at night. They have food. You know, it's stability. Because when they go out there, nobody's going to give them a chance. They're not going to hire them. They have a criminal background. And because of that, they'll get a low-paying job, not be able to put a down payment to get into a place, won't be able to get a vehicle. There's no way out there is no way out unless you have some people to help you do it. And so I always tell people it's one of those things I never knew I needed, because I started helping out with it, and I lead now retreats here. With every new group we come, and I lead a retreat here, and we talk about overcoming obstacles. And I share this story with some more background to it, but with all of them. And at first, always going into it, I'm like, man, you're never excited to share a whole lot, because it brings you back there, and there are real feelings, real emotions. I had hatred, I had anger, I had disappointment, I had depression, I had sadness. There's so many real emotions that you experience when you're reliving that. But the wild thing is when you're talking to people that need a second chance, you can see it in their eyes that they know exactly what you're talking about. They know exactly what you're talking about. So you're reaching them in a way that most people don't, or most people are unwilling to even look at them like that because of things that they've done in their past. You know what I mean? So it is like, it's always difficult starting in, but by the end, it's one of the most rewarding things that I do. It's insane. And then when they get up and we start overcoming obstacles in here, I just remind them that if they can do a 15-foot warped wall, you better believe you can get a job and you can show up on the days when you are tired or sick. You know what I mean? It's like, I just remind them that the parallel is the same. It's exactly the same. So it's been unbelievable. And the amount of support that I've had from them is wild. It's absolutely wild. So
your dad, Joseph, tells a story of as you guys are dropping him off at the correctional facility up in South Dakota, that it's a very emotional moment, and he called it rock bottom. It was the worst day of his life. How old were you at that time, and how much is that still that memory still burned in your mind?
It's terrible. It's I'll never forget it. I remember I was like, I've always been either happy, big sad, big angry. My parents always say, whatever emotion he's doing, it's always the fullest emotion. So then, my dad would always say, hey, you got to stop crying all the time. And, and he was not in a healthy place. So he was like, things he said then are different than who he is now. But, so he comes and he leaves and then comes back and everybody's crying. And I just remember I'll never forget just taking it and pushing it deep down inside of me and just really keeping it packed away. And I fought it hard, and all the emotions were there. And it was a terrible, terrible day. And those emotions that I pushed down, it took decades for those to come back. But it was a hard day.
One of the things I have been impressed about hearing your father's story is he has taken accountability for it all. And he has carved a new path.
Yeah.
How has seeing him go through what he went through and then come out the other side, how has that impacted you, shaped you into who you are today?
Oh man, it's so funny. He had a friend, close friend of him, family friend, this great guy. He was like, now, Joe, I want to ask you something. He said, now, I'm not saying I have the answer to this, but look what your life has turned into from this. Do you ever think God wanted you to take that money? Ever think God wanted you to go to prison? And, or maybe just allowed it, knowing that where it was going to go from there. And I always thought, man, what a funny question. What an odd thing to ask. But it's like, I can't fathom who I would be without it. I really can't. I don't know that I would be here. I don't know that I'd be as resilient, and I don't know that I'd be as persistent in relationships. That's one thing, is when he came out of prison, he was so wildly different. He was so at peace and so soft and so gentle, and he was none of those things. Before he was hard and angry and quick-tempered, but he was the opposite of that. And, you know, and he ended up working a lot to try to, you know, get us in a financially stable position, which, you know, led to other resentments because I didn't see him a lot. He was gone all the time working. And then later in life, you know, I move on and, you know, pursue the Olympic dream and all that stuff. He was just so persistent on creating a relationship with me and the rest of my siblings, so persistent. And, you know, in fact, it got to a point where I was like, Dad, you got to stop, man. I love you, but I need some room. I need some room. And this was, I was an adult. I mean, this was like, you know, probably late 20s. And, but then what happened is I started opening up and pursuing a relationship back with him. But I needed him to pursue that relationship. I needed to see him pursue relationships. And not only that, pursue relationships outside of our family and just, you know, and work with people that were going through the same thing. I mean, the amount of humility that I've seen that man go through and continue to go through is something that is invaluable. I mean, it's so cool, and it's still shaping me today. It's still shaping me. I mean, he's an unbelievable man. Unbelievable.
Yeah. What's your relationship now like with your pops?
Oh man, we're exceptionally close. I mean, I see him, yeah. I mean, a couple times a week. I mean, we're together a lot. I mean, I really can't, it's odd because I have a relationship with him that I guess I felt like I should have, but never did have. But now that I have it, I have friends and other people are just like, man, you guys are close. Like you're not like that with your dad? And they're like, no. So it's like, it's really, I could literally share anything with my dad, anything. I mean, we've always been a pretty open family, but, yeah, he truly is, I can't say enough about him, but if I end up anything like him at all, then he's done well.
Do you ever think about, I mean, he got caught and he went to jail for doing the wrong thing. Do you ever think about, you know, you kind of got out of it 3 times?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so wild because, I was in a position where I wanted to get caught, you know what I mean, to get past it. And just, I don't know. The parallel there is just absolutely wild. I think, I'm so thankful that, you know, he did go through what he did because, I think it's just really made me, want to be so transparent with, you know, all parts of my life. And, because, you know, it was the thing, if there's anything that needs to be hid, then it's probably not something that's blessing your life. You know what I mean? And that's something that I've really, I wouldn't have thought that. And I think that a lot of people get caught up in, you know, obstacles in their life and they get stuck behind them because they don't realize what they're falling into. And it's a gradual fall where I think I can guarantee you that would be me had I not seen my dad go through what he did and realize how important it is to be transparent and to be, you know, who you are behind the scenes as who you are on the scenes. If that makes sense.
You know, hearing from your story, hearing from your dad's story, I know oftentimes you guys are sharing to church and church congregations. And, you know, you were talking about how you went a stretch where you hadn't prayed in a year or two. And I'm just curious, as someone that is still, I would say I'm still like pretty newish or young in my faith journey. What were the things that you did to, I don't know, rekindle your faith? Really dive in.
I would say it's the things I'm doing is really what is making it. I think the biggest thing is just doing. I think for me, I always thought, oh, there's some great book or there's some great men's group that's going to change everything. And the truth is there's not. It's like you have seasons of your life where certain things will be great for you, where sometimes it is a men's group for a little bit. But then when that fizzles out, you're like, well, what now? And then you kind of get stale again. You know what I mean? I think that for me, I just have to make sure I keep it a priority in my life every single day. So I just have to change my schedule so that I wake up right now and my first hour is I'm diving into the Word and I'm journaling and things that, I've told you here how much I hate reading and writing. And here I am doing the two things I hate the most, right? But I feel like that is what sets me up for a great day. And if I believe, my family's testimony is one that you're like, people don't come out of that on a healthy side if God's not real. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen like that. You know what I mean? But because we did, and there are other things in there in our story that is like one thing I've got to share this because it's absolutely wild. When I was opening the gym and I put together this business proposal and everything, I take my business plan to the banks, multiple banks, and one banker said to me, he goes, Spencer, this is amazing. This is an unbelievable business plan, maybe the best I've seen. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is great. And I'm sweaty and just kind of shaking because this is it's a lot of money. And I still am like, what am I doing? But he goes, Spencer, if I take everything you own, it's not even going to be close enough to cover if you go under. And he said, you have to understand that I balance risk. I am risk management for this branch. And the risk for you and your inexperience is really high. And he said, you probably are going to be successful. But I just, on paper, I have to balance risk. So there's no way I can give you that loan unless you have somebody of high value, of substantial value to co-sign with you. So I call around I'll shorten the story, but basically I call for months and nothing happens. Finally, somebody calls me back that knows a guy. I meet with him and he said, yeah, he owns 2 gyms. And he said, I told him, and I'm like, listen, but I don't want to share, I'm not looking to split profit with anybody. I have a vision here. I had heard horror stories of people that have partners, and I didn't want somebody coming in that has no idea about what the vision of this would be to get in the way of that and to hurt relationships. So I meet with him. I tell him that. He said, you know what, Spencer, I had somebody help me out when I was young, and I just want to pay it forward. So he comes down, he co-signs, and then I don't see him for months and months. We kind of stay in contact a little bit, and then a couple years in, he calls me. He says, Spencer, I've got to tell you something, and it's probably going to affect you, and I'm so sorry. I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm going away to prison for money embezzlement. And I'm like, what? I said, first of all, I know a guy that you need to talk to because it was the same charges my dad went to prison for. So landlord was good. We worked that out. Everything ended up being just fine. But then now I've got a pen pal, right in prison. We're writing. He ends up getting out early and then joins the Change Course program because he had met my dad and now is one of the leaders on the team that helps all these people bring their lives or change their lives. So and this guy knew nothing about me, nothing about my family, but got caught up and embezzled some of this money, turned himself in, and then it led to meeting my dad, and my dad has helped counsel him through it all. But it's like, it's just wild. It's absolutely wild. Just such a full circle thing. So that I think for me, God keeps saying, hey, never forget that I'm here first. And this is what makes it special. And then I'm blessing you with this, and I need you to take it, and I'm gonna let it grow, and you're gonna be blessed, but only if you remember what's most important. And I think it's kind of like a spark in a brush fire. You know what I mean? I feel like all I got to do is keep that spark alive, and then it's going to spread. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, it's all been perspective. It's like, what do I really want in this life? And as my dad always says, and I love this, he goes, if I get to the end of my life, and let's say, and I'm trying to live my life like Jesus, right? He said, if I get to the end of my life and I pass away, what have I lost? People are going to say he loved on people. He was there. He gave time. He made sacrifices. He was humble. He never thrived on money. You know, it's like, and it's so true. It's like there's nothing to lose but everything to gain. And I think that's what keeps me driving every day.
One thing I really like about you, and there are probably times where gymnastics took from you more than maybe you're getting out of it.
Yes.
But it does appear like everything good in your life has been tied to gymnastics. And now you are using that same sport tied with American Ninja Warrior and tied with, ninja competitions. You are using that to do all of the other stuff in your life that are meaningful.
Oh yeah.
To share your faith, to bring your family around here, to share the story of Change Course. That's really impressive. Like how have you been able to use gymnastics in that way?
Well, I mean, gymnastics is a relentless sport for starters. I mean, it's all year round. It never stops. I mean, and when you get to your semi-high level, it's 25 to 30 hours a week of training alone. So the amount of discipline that it takes to do it and sacrifices and all of that changes, I mean, everything. I mean, you realize what you put in is what you're going to get out of it. You know what I mean? And the further you go, the more you realize that, as well as that there are going to be sacrifices, and you're going to hurt, and you're going to be sore, and you're going to be tired, and it's going to be relentless, and it won't stop. It's going to keep coming. But if you keep pushing through, there's going to be something exciting at the end. And if it's not always what you think it's going to be. That's the crazy part. But I mean, in a lot of ways, people could say whatever they want, but I feel like I have made my Olympics now. And it didn't look like what I thought it would, but I'm here now blessed with a great family, close with my parents and with a gym, and I'm giving back to people who are giving back to me. I mean, I'm so thankful for it. I think there's no way I can't utilize that because it's built into me now. It's just a part of who I am.
It's a good life, man. It's a good life, what you've built here.
Thank you so much.
That's
I
awesome.
really appreciate that.
What can you tell us about, it's season 18 right now,
season
right?
18,
What can you tell us about season 18?
I can tell you there are some first-time things for me, for sure.
Let's go.
I can tell you it's going to be very, very exciting. There's going to be a little tears, and it's going to be worth watching.
I can't wait to check it out. And you have plans for season 19. You're going for it at 40.
Yes, sir. Yep. I feel like that's a milestone. I mean, I feel like as long as I still feel good and feel healthy, I'm gonna keep this train moving.
And there was a time where you didn't think that was even possible.
That's exactly right.
That's so cool.
Yep.
What is next for Change Course and Emerge Academy? What can you share with us with what you guys continue to do here in Central Iowa?
You know what? We're just going to keep growing. I mean, we're going to keep pushing, and where there's need, we want to be able to meet it. And and that goes from kids very, very young to adults very, very old. I mean, the need is always there, and people always need cheerleading and somebody in their corner and somebody to say, hey, you're worth it. You're valuable. You can do this. It's not over. And it's never over. And so as long as there's people that keep, that are willing to step up and keep chasing dreams, we're gonna keep opening our doors to provide that. And who knows where it goes? I mean, I've always been labeled a dreamer, and I'll claim that all day long. So I don't know what the future holds, but I know excited to be part of it.
Is SpencerANW.com still the best place to go for people to get more information on you and change course? And I know there's a way to support both.
Yep. Yeah, if you go to SpencerANW.com, that has been the best place. And we've had, so many people have been so helpful and so encouraging. And that's the big thing about Change Courses. It's completely it's only ran by donations. That is 100% what keeps it afloat. So we keep it updated, and that's all my brother. He's the man behind it all. And but yeah, that's definitely probably the best place, or Instagram or whatever. You can check out just whatever. I've just type my name in. You might get some. There's also an author out there who wrote a few books. That's not me. So don't be confused.
That's great. That's great. Hey, I did have one more question. At this age, how are you staying healthy and continuing to compete? I did the monkey bars just a couple weeks ago on vacation, and I feel like I threw my shoulder out of the socket. So yeah, how are you doing? What you're doing at this age?
You know what? I just the boys always somebody always dresses up like me at Halloween, and the key to the outfit is always, you can really wear any kind of clothes with your hat backwards, but everybody knows it's me when they have a milk jug with water in it, because I drink a gallon of water a day, and other than that, I just try to stay away from fast food and work out 5 days a week. Just they're pretty short. Everybody's like, you must work out a lot. And I'm like, if I do anything more than 30 minutes, then I'm wasting time. So I try to keep it attainable, and that I give a good workout in and drink lots of water. I'm peeing all the time, all the time. My wife always teases me. She's like, you pee way more than I do. Which is true.
That's one of those older things. I guess maybe that one.
That's right.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you sharing the stories. Good to catch up.
Yeah, man.
And look forward to seeing you on stage at Hope Elam here
yes, sir.
Soon, hopefully.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.